In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds. He who has ennobled us with the lights of His trustworthy Prophet, radiating and giving repose to the hearts and chests, and allowing us to understand that which we're going to in the proximity in degrees to Allah, and realizing the truth and reality, and allowing the people who cling onto it to leave the various obstacles in various affairs. O Allah, send prayers and peace upon your slave Muhammad Mustafa, Master Muhammad, and his companions and his family, and those who are close of his beloved, and as what follows. O dear brethren, for the sake of Allah, those who are gathering upon that which will bring you to Allah and closeness to Him. So, in continuing with our weekly lesson, reflecting upon this counsel, may Allah make us of those who believe and do righteous works, and who give due counsel in truth and also patience. The Imam al-Haddad says in this counsel, I counsel you to be humble, for humility is praiseworthy in every state except one. That is, to show humility to the possessors of worldly riches, hoping to attain some of their wealth. Arrogance is blameworthy in every state except in dealing with oppressive rulers who refuse to refrain from oppression. One may treat them with a certain arrogance outwardly in the hope that this will prevent them from oppressing others, on condition that one's heart is free from arrogance. Imam al-Haddad in this counsel gives a sufficient elucidation regarding humility and arrogance. These are two attributes of the heart. Both of these attributes have outward manifestations on the limbs and bodily parts. However, the place of arrogance and humility is in fact the heart. So it is befitting for the believer to ensure that they safeguard and gain this attribute of humility, which will bring a person to elevated states. The Prophet ﷺ says, he who is humble, Allah will raise him. The Prophet ﷺ struck the similitude here with regard to the raising of high stations of a human being from Allah when he's humble, and the opposite when he's arrogant. He says there is an angel at the forehead of every human being. If he is humble, he will raise him, and if he is arrogant, then he will subdue him. So therefore we should be concerned in fulfilling this attribute and realizing the deficiency and shortcomings of the heart with regard to its the rights of Allah, and that which would cause Allah's displeasure and anger, and from Allah turning away from a person. So by a person fearing these results, he will never be sure that he is better than any person or superior to any person, whoever that may be. For if he were to see the oppressor, the sinful person, or the disbeliever, he doesn't know what he is going to end with, how he's going to die. That denying disbeliever or that sinful person, one cannot be certain that he is better than anyone. Due to their intelligence and realizing the reality, these people were never even able to see themselves superior to the animal kingdom, because their end will not even reach hellfire. If they were given retribution, then they will be resorted to dust, transformed to dust. But the human being, the disbeliever, he will brought to account, then he will end up in the hellfire. So such believers would not even feel themselves as being superior or above the animal world, because we have no certainty of the states that we will go into the next life once we die. So one of us will not be able to be sure that we are better than any other individual, because superiority is really who is superior with Allah, and the one who is superior with Allah is in fact the one who has the best state upon death. Allah, the knower of the unseen, knows this. We don't know that we are better than anyone else, and we shouldn't feel this, and so Allah will raise us in degrees. One of our teachers was asked, when will the human being surpass others? He says, if he does not dislike others to surpass him, then this will be a reason for him surpassing them. Likewise, he who does not see himself better than anyone, then this is a cause for him being closer to Allah. So humility is praiseworthy in all states, and this is what is befitting of the obedient and the sinful person. And according to all the various degrees of the obedient people, it is befitting for them to be humble. Likewise, the sinful people. Every person should excel in humility. However, there are certain causes for humility which are not correct. And this is what Imam al-Haddad refers to when he said, except in the one state when dealing with oppressive, when showing humility to the possessors of worldly riches, those who have outward power, hoping to attain some of their wealth, to be humble to these people, not humility for Allah, nor behaving with Allah, nor out of modesty before Allah, but rather trying to get close to them, seeking that which is in their hands or in possession, or due to some delusion within his mind, so he may seek their good or their benefit through being humble before them. This is a corrupt state of humility, which brings a person to this state. Therefore, this is a state which we should remove from our hearts, and our Prophet ﷺ has explained this. He says, he who becomes humble before a rich, wealthy person because of his wealth, then 2/3 of his religion has been lost. So this person has magnified that which Allah has abased. If a person is humble before a wealthy person, but he is humble because of his older age or his knowledgeable or some other praiseworthy attribute, then Allah knows the reason for his humility. So a person should not be humble for any reasons of this worldly possessions and riches. We should be humble before the poor person as well as the rich person, as well as we should be humble before the person who is unknown as well as the person who is famous and popular. So there should not be an outward manifestation of this humility, condoning any sin. Likewise, that which is manifest on the tongue of speech, and also bodily parts of style, and the heart. As long as it is humble, then this is better for it, to be humble for Allah, for the sake of Allah. He said, Imam Haddad says, arrogance is blameworthy in every state. So it's not befitting for any creature, human being, jinn, angel, or any creature to be arrogant. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned a summary with regard to the reality of arrogance when he said to him that a man likes his dress or clothing to be beautiful, and likewise his vehicle or his beast. So he said arrogance is to deny truth. And this it is to deny the truth, that he witnesses himself as being the sole possessor of truth, and nobody should respond or disagree with him, nor contradict him. So in this, he is returning the truth, and he doesn't accept it. And then to despise people, he thinks he's better than other people. This is the reality of arrogance, these two traits. This is the outward manifestation of kibr, of arrogance. And cleanliness of one's clothing, nor the excellence and beauty of the utensils or vehicles. This is not necessarily arrogance, but rather it is an attribute that resides in the heart, where he denies truth and rejects it, as well as seeing himself as being better than others, despising people. So, arrogance is blameworthy in every state. However, there is certain states of arrogance in an outward form of turning away, for example, from a person. This not resulting from the heart, but rather it is in order to reform another human being such that he turns away from him because of a particular trait that he's trying to remove within that person. So in such a situation, arrogance should be outwardly manifested, and turning away from such a person, if this would benefit such a person to refrain from what they're doing of wrong and sin. If it would not benefit, or it could have increased in this to do sinful works, or it wasn't in order to refrain him from sin, but because of a caprice in him due to arrogance, then it's also unlawful. Even if it was just an outward manifestation. As for the heart, as we said before, we don't know how we will die, what state we will die in. So you should not be in a situation where you show arrogance over others. The person who is outwardly manifesting open transgression and sin, you shouldn't have any arrogance towards that person. Or if you would to show outward arrogance to such a person, and this would allow him to refrain from sin, then this is good and praiseworthy. Otherwise, if you were to be humble with such a person, then this may encourage them to continue in their sin. And it was reported that there was a village of the children of Israel. Allah commanded an angel to bring punishment to them. The angel said, there is one person who is an avid worshipper of yours in that village. So Allah said, begin the destruction of the village with him. Why? Because he used to meet the transgressing sinful people in that village with humility, with happiness, and he was not angry because of what they were doing for the sake of Allah. So, one may treat the oppressive rulers with a certain arrogance outwardly in the hope that this will prevent them from oppressing others on condition that one's heart is free from arrogance. There should be an anger in one's heart for the sin that is performed by other people, but as for that person's state of death, then we are not certain how it will be, so therefore we cannot feel that we are superior to such people. This is what has come from the Master of the Beloved Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we should pay attention to these counsels and perform according to these, inwardly and outwardly, public and private, such that we move with insight and we have the best of states and characteristics, such that we can be pious, gaining that which will grant us closeness and purity, closeness to Allah, our Master, in private and public. May Allah allow us to realize the realities of taqwa and allow us to benefit from this counsel and make us of those people who follow the best of creatures, purify all those inner traits. O Allah, O Merciful, grant us the due portion in the month of which he was born, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and make us firm on his path and allow us to drink from his fountain, O Most Merciful of the Merciful and O Generous One. And from the questions that we've received from Amjad Tarsin from America, how do we deal with the problem of trying to surpass other people, particularly in the da'wah to Allah? We should go back to reality, and the reality is that nothing occurs except with the permission of Allah, and nothing would occur except that Allah desires that. So the reality also, if this was in the da'wah, as you have mentioned in your question, then this is better for us, and this is blessing for us and strength. So how can we envious of this strength and dislike it? So anyone who increases in knowledge or teaching or worship in this ummah, then the da'wah, then this is a strength for us and expands our skills. So we want more people to be successful in da'wah and in knowledge, in teaching and in worship and in purification of hearts. And all the people of this deen are assistants for us in fulfilling our desire in this life. Therefore we should be happy with this, and we should look to this reality, and we ask Allah to allow us to remove any feelings of envy and jealousy towards this. And Brother Ahmed from Yemen asking, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam, he says, all our brothers watching and listening, he says, I haven't seen the Prophet ﷺ in my dream. Is this a sign of a wretched ending? May Allah make firm your path and expand your breast, your heart being connected to the Prophet ﷺ in this life and the next is a sign of good. And if the vision of the Prophet ﷺ has not occurred for you, then this should not be a sign of wretchedness, but rather it's for wisdoms and reasons which are various and many, coming back to one's deficiency, shortcoming, going against the sunnah, contradicting it, and also reason would be performing sin and unlawful deeds, and also weakness in love, weakness in strength of connection to the Prophet ﷺ and binding to him and emulating him, or lack of remembrance of the Prophet and salah upon him, And there are other reasons. Allah has various wisdoms in this. So this is not a sign of wretchedness, but rather, if you were ennobled with a sincere turning to Allah on the way of this Prophet ﷺ, the beloved, with yearning for him and trying to emulate him and serving his religion and his sacred law, then the signs of happiness have been shown on you, and seeking goodness and increase, and so be sincere and truthful with Allah, such that Allah will bring you and bind you and allow you to meet the Prophet ﷺ in this life and the next, and you will be with this yearning and love increasing in connection, because the greatest reason for seeing the Prophet ﷺ in a vision is strength of love and connection to him, and abundance of remembrance of the Prophet ﷺ, as well as salah upon him. If you perform this as well as serving his ummah and serving the da'wah of the Prophet ﷺ, then this will be a reason for removing veils, and also that Allah will ennoble a person and be generous to a person in seeing the best of creatures and the beauty of creation, and the master of the people of witnessing, and the leader of the people of prostration, the possessor of the praiseworthy station, as the Sahih Bukhari hadith says, he who sees me has seen the true. He who sees me in his dream, then he has seen me, because Satan does not emulate me. He who sees me in his sleeping state, he will see me in the wakeful state. He who sees me in his sleeping state, in his dream, will see me in his wakeful state. So strive in emulating him and following him, and abundant salah and salam upon him always, and do this always, remembering him all the time, in your days and your nights, in all of your situations. So therefore through this you will be given his vision. And intercede through bringing joy to the people who perhaps of the people who from the family of the Prophet ﷺ, or those who are serving the da'wah of the Prophet ﷺ, such that you will be granted assistance and softness from the poor soul of the Prophet ﷺ. Brother Ali from Kenya, I think. He says, I don't think I can describe my love for Allah. In the hadith, Allah says, my love is deserving and befitting for those people who love one another for my sake. May Allah make so the people who gather for His sake. And he says, after reading the Mawlid Diya al-Lami', I found it one of the best books regarding the Prophet ﷺ. This is a good feeling. The best thing which the Prophet ﷺ has been described is that which Allah has described him with, and the blessing of his qualities and features have been passed in every generation, that which will fill the hearts of the people of each era, and this will be their door to being close and elevation and being connected to the presence of the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah show gratitude to your feelings. And someone asking, and also asking about taking a bath from the major ritual impurity after someone had surgery, I think. Yeah, if a person was injured or on some part of the body, and if with that wound, water were to come on that wound in his body, and it were to increase the injury of the wound, or to cause harm somewhere else in his body, then this would allow such a person to make dry ablution, tayammum, So if there was surgery conducted on a particular part of the body and it were to be harmed by use of water, then a person can make dry ablution for the ghusl and there will be no problem with this. So he does that which he can do of the ghusl, and then that which he cannot do ghusl on, then he would make tayammum. Because underneath every hair there is a ritual impurity, major ritual impurity. Sayyidina Ali bin Abi Talib said that under every hair there is a major ritual impurity, so if a person is negligent of this, then his prayers will be invalidated. So a person should, when performing ghusl, the purificatory bath should allow water to reach all places of the body. So likewise, a person should take water in his hand and try and bring the water into the earlobes and trying to bring it in all places where it may be difficult for the water to reach in the body and the skin. Brother Bassam from Jordan says, I work in a restaurant where they serve alcoholic beverages. He says, I don't deliver them to anyone. Habib said, be quick to remove yourself from that particular place. He who leaves something for the sake of Allah, Allah will grant him better than that. And you being cautious not to touch or carry the alcohol is an obligation upon you. But you're being present in a place which serves alcohol and managing this place, you will be considered as being present in this, or being the manager of this lounge which serves alcoholic beverages. Then you may be of those people connected to the alcoholic beverages the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith. And those who sell it as well and buy it, then such people enter the curse of Allah. So leave this job and Allah will open for you something. Do not forget to recite Surah Al-Waqi'ah, La ilaha illallah al-Haqq al-Malik al-Mubin 100 times a day, and subhanallah bihamdihi subhanallah al-azim astaghfirullah 100 times, read it every day. Also after the sunnah of subh, read this, if not after the fajr fard prayer. And he who fears Allah, then Allah will grant him an opening from where he does not know. Some of the managers of the hotels in Medina, they met Sheikh Sha'rawi. Such a person worked in a place where alcoholic beverages were served or were present, one of the hotels in Medina. He said the Shaykh counseled him, advised him, told him to leave immediately. And he said, I have so many debts, what should I do? He says, your Lord says, he who fears Allah, Allah will grant him an opening from where he knows not. So is it first the taqwa or first is the opening? What comes first? He says first you have taqwa. He who has taqwa of Allah, Allah will grant him an opening. So he says, you want the opening before taqwa? So first taqwa and then the opening. And so the opening will come. So Shaykh Sha'rawi's words affected him, so he left that job, and a small amount of time passed. And he met some people in some other countries, and they organized him to manage a hotel in Medina. And until today, 20 or 30 years, he's been living there, a neighbor to the Haram in Medina. and his affairs will be rectified. Through the blessing of taqwa, he has taqwa of Allah. He will be granted opening. So Shaykh Sharawi said, do you want taqwa? Do you want the opening first, or do you want taqwa? Which one comes first? Taqwa, and then the opening will come. So he who fears Allah, Allah will grant him an opening from where he knows not. Tahir al-Haddad says in the question, some people don't read qunut dua in Salat al-Fajr. Should I make qunut if the Imam doesn't make the qunut? So this questioner is a Shafi'i, seeing it sunnah in the subh prayer, and the Imam not seeing it sunnah in the subh prayer. So the answer, he who sees the qunut is sunnah like the Shafi'is, he should make qunut behind that Imam as long as he can meet him again in the sujood. And some of the Imams, they intend on purpose to perform a long standing after the bowing, such that those who want to do their qunut dua, they can do so. And as for the Shafi'is, if the Imam forgets to do the qunut, then the follower should, it is recommended for him to do the qunut as long as he can meet him in the prostration. So if you know the madhab of this Imam, if you know that he doesn't do the qunut, then as soon as you come back from your bowing, then do the dhikr of the bowing and of the standing up, and then quickly do the qunut and meet the Imam in the prostration, and this is a sunnah for you. What is the state of a person who comes quick to the gatherings and the sunnahs, but he leaves some obligations? He has shortcoming. He should revise his own self and know that the best thing which he can come close to Allah is that which Allah has obligated. So he should take from the sunan and the subrogatory actions, which he should realize the severity of leaving that which Allah has obligated. This is the benefit of the subrogatory actions. The subrogatory actions are perfected by people who fulfill the obligations. So he who wants to give charity, then he has a loan which he needs to pay back and is due, then he should pay it back immediately rather than giving out that charity which is voluntary. So he should take from these voluntary acts the blessings which he should take from its reality, and the reality is that it brings him to fear of Allah and fearing leaving obligations of Allah. Otherwise, these voluntary acts, these subrogatory acts, are just an outward form. There's no reality to it, and that no matter of family, nor self, or nor company should be preferred over the command of Allah. And the greatest thing which a person should fulfill is that which Allah has commanded upon him. In this way he should reform and rescue his own self. Someone asked from Australia regarding istikhara. A person feeling comfortable regarding that affair, that this affair doesn't bring him to sin or going against the Sharia, or that the other option is closer to taqwa. If these are the signs, then these are signs of goodness, and a person can repeat the istikhara time after time until he finds his heart is reposed to it. And a person knows that something would be far from the correct option in istikhara if it is something which brings a person to that which is doubtful. May Allah assist us in every matter and bring us and you to all good and bless us in all of our lessons and our advice and counsel for the sake of Allah. Makes us those people who listen to the best of words and follow its best. May Allah make us of those people who are firm on His path and take us from His and drink from His fountain in good health and pardon. Next week, the 13th day of Rabi al-Awwa, we have an event to attend to. So just keep an eye out regarding whether we'll have a lesson or not, but the week after that we will have a lesson inshallah. So in a fortnight's time there will definitely be a lesson. By the secret of the Fatiha to the presence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Fatiha.